Life can turn out to be quite a lemon sometimes, dealing you with bad cards that you have to play the best way you can. Sometimes, this means having to live without your biological parents, and in such times, angels can be sent to take care of us in the form of adoptive parents. Watch this video for a list of famous people who are adopted, from Nicole Richie to Tim McGraw. But before we continue, give us a thumbs up because we are sure you'll love this video. The country star was adopted as an infant and raised outside of Jackson, Mississippi, with two older brothers. Her first foray into the music world was singing in the Baptist church where her family worshipped. The rest, as they say, is history. Nicole was raised in California by music legend Lionel Richie and his then wife, Brenda Harvey Richie. Nicole's biological parents are often said to be friends of the couple and a one-time bandmate of Lionel. However, this has never been confirmed. Nicole was legally adopted when she was 9 years. Christine was adopted at 5 days old and raised by her adoptive parents, Junie and Jerry Chenoweth, in Oklahoma. The singing powerhouse started performing at an early age in the church circuit before she even entered high school. Marilyn Monroe was born to an unmarried mother and was soon placed in various foster homes. When she was 11, she lived with a family friend, Grace McKee Goddard, who eventually became her legal guardian. Monroe famously got married when she was 16 in order to get out of the foster care system. The former Glee actress was adopted from Seoul, South Korea when she was 3 months old. She was raised in East Meadow, New York with her older brother, Greg. Gina is the co-founder of Kindred, the foundation for adoption, which provides adoptees and their families with support, services, and resources. The actor was adopted by his maternal grandmother after his parents split when he was just 7 months old. He grew up in Terrell, Texas, and can trace his acting and singing career all the way back to singing in his local church choir. The Blondie singer was adopted by Richard and Catherine Harry when she was 3 months old. Long before she made a name for herself as a punk singer and songwriter at New York institutions such as CBGB's and Mark's Kansas City, she sang in church choirs in Hawthorne, New Jersey. As you might have guessed, that is where she grew up. Actor Ray Liotta was adopted at 6 months old by Mary and Alfred Liotta. The couple owned an auto parts store and were active in local politics. Ray was raised in Newmark, New Jersey, and has a sister, Linda, who is also adopted. Sarah was adopted at a young age and grew up in Nova Scotia, Canada. She took voice and guitar lessons while growing up. At 17, she got her first recording contract offer with her band, October Game. Even though the deal fell through, we all know she hit it big just a few years later. The former actress of Little House on the Prairie was adopted at birth and raised in a show family business. Her adoptive parents, Paul Gilbert and Barbara Crane, were both actors. So it's no surprise that Melissa became a child star when she was only 10. Preston's biological father tragically drowned when she was only 3 years old. After her pup's death, her mother remarried Peter Palzis, who later adopted Kelly. Kelly was raised in Hawaii and Australia and eventually settled in California. In Cali, she attended the University of Southern California and studied drama and theater. Actress Frances was born in Chicago and adopted at a young age. Her siblings were also adopted by the same family. The family moved frequently as Frances grew up. Frances began acting in Pennsylvania, where she graduated from high school and went on to study at the prestigious Yale School of Drama. The former San Francisco 49ers quarterback was raised by adoptive parents, Rick and Teresa Kaepernick. Colin was adopted in 1987 when he was 5 weeks old. He was born in Milwaukee to Heidi Russo, who was 19 years old at the time. The Jersey Shore star was born in Santiago, Chile, and adopted at 6 months old by Helen and Andre Polizzi. The adoptive parents raised her in Marlboro, New York. Snooki has always known about the adoption and talked about it in a video on her YouTube channel. She says, "I was always meant to be with my adoptive parents, which I hate saying adoptive parents because they are really my parents. It's weird." Stephen Paul Jobs was born to Joan Shebel and Abdul Tafa Jandali in 1955. As an infant, Steve Jobs was given up for adoption and raised by Clara and Paul Jobs in California. When he was 27, Steve uncovered more information about his biological parents, whom he found out later remarried and had another child together. When she was 3, Simeon Biles and her sister Adria were placed in the foster care system. The kid's biological mom was suffering from drugs and alcohol abuse and was in and out of jail frequently. Shortly after Biles entered foster care, her maternal grandparents stepped in. Ron and Nellie Biles brought Simone and Adria to live with them in Texas, and in 2003, they legally adopted their grandchildren. Mandela was 12 years old when his father passed away from lung disease. Afterward, as a tribute to his father, Mandela was adopted by Chief Jongi Taban Dalidiebo, the leader of the Thembu people. He moved from a small village to the chief's residence in the capital, where he received his education. By the age of 2, both of Lee Major's parents, Carl and Alice Yere, had passed away in separate accidents. Lee was adopted by his paternal aunt and uncle and moved to Kentucky to live with their family. Born Tracy Lauren Marrow, Ice-T was 8 years old when his mother passed away and 12 years old when his father suffered a fatal heart attack. Afterwards, he moved to LA to live with his aunt, who later legally adopted him. Born to Betty Smith in 1967, Tim McGraw grew up under the belief that his stepfather, Horace Smith, was his biological father. He was 11 years old when he found out that his father was actually professional baseball player Tug McGraw, who left his mother when she was pregnant. After George Lopez's father left when he was 2 months old and his mother left when he was 10 years old, his maternal grandmother, Benita Gutierrez, cared for him. Gutierrez and her husband, Refugio, raised Lopez in Los Angeles. Comedian Andy Dick was born in Charleston and adopted at birth by Allen and Sue Dick. Dick was 40 years old when he met his birth parents. His mother, an unwed teenager from Texas, was sent to South Carolina to give birth. There was a book about adoption called The Primal Wound, Dick told Hollywood News in 2014. The first sentence says, "Just so you know, you have a primal wound that will never heal." I closed that book and I never read it. Skrillex, whose real name is Sonny Moore, found out when he was 16 years that he was adopted by family friends of his biological parents. Growing up in New Jersey in the 1940s, Jack Nicholson was raised by Ethel May and John Nicholson, whom he believed were his parents. It wasn't until he was 27 years old and a Time reporter interviewed him that he discovered that Ethel May and John were his grandparents and his mother was June Nicholson, whom he believed was his sister. By the time the actor discovered the truth, both his grandparents and biological mother had passed away. Keegan-Michael Key grew up in Detroit, Michigan, after being adopted at birth. His adopted parents divorced when he was young, and his father later remarried. The comedian was 25 years old when he met his birth mother for the first time. President Gerald Ford was 12 years old when he discovered that his father was actually his stepfather, who had legally adopted him as a child. He also learned his mother changed his name, which was originally Leslie Lynch King Jr., to Gerald R. Ford Jr. after his stepfather. Child star Gary Coleman was adopted at birth by Sue and W.G. Coleman. Sadly, the actor ended up suing his adopted parents over mismanaging his money while he was working as a child actor. The actor was not in communication with them at the time of his death in 2010. When JC was born in 1976 and his biological mother knew she couldn't care for him, she turned to her former foster parents, Roy and Karen Chase, who raised the future NSYNC singer and legally adopted him when he was 5 years old. Former NFL offensive tackle Michael Oha was adopted by the Troyes family as a high school student in 2004. Oha came to know about the Troyes after attending their children's high school Briarcrest in Memphis. The family's story caught the attention of Hollywood and inspired the movie The Blind Side. When Bill Clinton's father passed away 3 months before he was born, his mother turned to her family to care for her baby when she went to study nursing in New Orleans. When she returned, she was remarried to Roger Clinton, who raised the future president as his own. When Clinton was 15, he legally changed his surname in honor of his stepfather. The Black Eyed Peas singer was born into poverty in the Philippines. When he was 14, an American sponsor, Joe Ben Hudgens, brought him to the United States and legally adopted him. Eleanor Roosevelt was 10 years old when she and her younger brothers were put into the care of their grandparents, Mary Ludlow Hall, and sent to live with her in Manhattan. Her mother died of diphtheria when she was 8, and her father, the younger brother of Theodore Roosevelt, died 2 years later. Dante's biological mother was serving time in prison while she was pregnant with the future NFL star. When Dante was only 1 day old, he was adopted by Emma Culpepper, who raised more than 15 adopted children throughout her life. "It was the best thing that happened to me in my whole life," Dante said in an interview when her mother passed away in 2007. "I never really had a man in my life. She was my mother and my father." John Lennon was 4 years old when his parents divorced. With his mother unable to take care of him, he went to go live with his aunt, Mimi. Lennon was 18 when his mother passed away in a car accident in 1958. Lance Armstrong was born in Plano, Texas in 1971 and was given the name Edward Gunderson. His mother, Linda, remarried when he was a young child and he was legally adopted by his stepfather, Terry Armstrong. Singer Liz Phair was born in New Haven, Connecticut, before she was adopted by Nancy and John Phair and raised in Illinois. Her brother is also adopted. "My parents were very responsible," they said. "We wanted you more than anything in the whole world. They were perfect about it," Phair told Women's Health in 2006. Richard Burton was born to Richard Jenkins to an impoverished family in South Wales. He was the 12th of 13 children and lost his mother at 2 years. His father, a coal miner, couldn't take care of him, so he went to live with his oldest sister, Cecilia. In 1943, he was informally adopted by his teacher and guardian, Philip Burton, and when he turned 18, he took the surname Burton. After his mother became pregnant at 16, Eric Clapton's maternal grandparents stepped in to raise him. The musician grew up thinking his grandparents were his parents, and they served as his legal guardians until he turned 18. Hollywood film star Ingrid Bergman was only 3 days old when she lost her mother. Her father, Justus Bergman, was her primary caregiver until he passed away when she was 12 years old. Ingrid then went to live with her aunt and later with her uncle and his family. That brings us to the end of this video. For more celebrity news, beauty and fashion advice, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us to reach more people.